Welcome to Twin Signals, Metrics at Work, with Elizabeth P. Morgan. Because metrics only matter when everyone agrees on what they mean.
In this episode of Metrics at Work, I speak with Javier Corral Jr., Global VP of Product Strategy and Sales at Netcore Unbxd, about the metrics behind product discovery at scale. For product managers, builders, and growth teams, this conversation offers a practical lesson in why segmentation matters. Javier explains how different end users on his platforms arrive with different goals, and why measuring them all against the same metric can lead to the wrong decisions. At the center is Javier's concept of speed to insight, how quickly a business can understand intent and adapt the experience accordingly. Drawing on examples from search, personalization, and changing customer behavior, he explores how metrics can reveal not just what users do, but what they are trying to achieve. The takeaway? Metrics only become useful when paired with context. Different users, customers, and situations require different measures of success. The most effective teams understand intent first, so they can choose the metrics that matter. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Metrics at Work. It's truly my pleasure today to welcome Javier Corral Jr., the Global VP of Product Strategy and Sales at Netcore Unbxd, a world-leading AI-driven search and product discovery platform for e-commerce. Hey, Javier, how are you?
Doing great, Liz. Thanks for having me.
I was thinking about our recording today and remembering the two of us learning to demo the first major product releases from Market Logic to Coca-Cola, and the two of us being so excited that we couldn't resist shouting boom at the end of every mouse click, So it's just really fun to think that you're, taking all of that customer focus and excitement and motivation that you have to the helm at Netcore. So it's lovely to be talking to you today.
Yeah, I still throw that boom here or there, so it's been great.
Yeah, don't lose the boom, huh? Javier, for everyone that's listening, could you tell us a little bit about Netcore, your customers, the scale of the organization, and
Sure.
doing?
Yeah. So my role is I'm in Netcore Unbxd. It's actually two companies that one acquired the other. The Unbox side is where my main role has to do with e-commerce. It's any way that people interact with products when they land on a website, and that's traditionally always meant that people are either searching, they're typing what they want, and then they're getting results that way. When they're not searching, then people, most of shoppers actually are browsing category pages and hitting filters and finding the products that they love. And then the other way that people discover products on the website is recommendations. So you might be looking at a shirt and you might get a nice recommendation of jeans that would match. Or maybe you're on the shopping cart and it started, we might tempt you with something new to add to your cart. And then there's new emerging channels on how people discover products, right? So people now have shopping assistants, right? It's a guided shopping experience where you're conversing with an agent. And then, more and more, there's a significant amount of traffic nowadays that hit our customers' websites that they're not even human. They might be, other agents shopping on behalf of customers somewhere else. And so we have to also figure out, how do we make sure that we cater not to our human shoppers, but also our bots, people using AI mode on Google, ChatGPT, Cloud, etc. Netcore acquired Unbox about 4 years ago. Netcore is the third largest email sender in the world. And their strategic acquisition was if they could get Unbox customers and learn from shoppers in real time, maybe once they left the site, because we learned so much about them, we could send them a very sharp email with 100 things that we learned about them. So Netcore Unbox as a whole is a 100 million plus ARR company, completely bootstrapped and profitable. And we have about 1,200 employees worldwide. Yeah.
And it's significant market share, right? I think you mentioned it was the dominant player on non-Amazon e-commerce purchases in US?
Yeah, we like to think so. So we power some of the world's largest brands, whether it's here in the US would be like, Mattress Firm, K Jewelers, NFM, Columbia.com. So we power about 3.5% of all e-commerce traffic, again, non-Amazon. So I'd say that about half of all US customers or shoppers have used Unboxed in one way or another. Use cases can be B2C, right? I'm shopping for myself, but we also support things like B2B use cases where it might be distributors, retailers are actually buying things in bulk, for example, through Unilever and so on.
I mentioned earlier, but Netcore is an innovation powerhouse, right? You've got a couple of quadrants and a couple of waves under your belt since you've been at the company.
Yeah, we do fairly well with the analysts. So yeah, we have a nice track record of being leader at Gartner. We are one of the strongest performers in personalization according to Forrester. So there's that's definitely the area we're in. Yeah. Oh yeah, and we also got Google Innovation Partner of the Year last year. So we're proud of that as well.
Congratulations. So then just thinking inside Netcore, I mean, how could you just describe for us how Netcore is working with metrics day to day?
We are very metric oriented. It's a metric culture, and that's because we're very much close to, the revenue machine. All right. Nobody needs to be explained what conversion is. That is like obviously everyone's North Star. We think about click-through rates and uptime. Those metrics really only represent if something's broken. But that's the really neat thing about our business, that it's highly measurable, and whether things are going right or wrong, we know very soon. So yeah, I'd say that the metrics that we care about, customers care about, it would always be: are we helping customers transact conversion? Are we helping them add maybe more products to cart, like average order value? And then we go into some nitty-gritty things like click-through rates and revenue per visitor. But that's definitely something that it's really important to track these things, because if Unbox goes down on Black Friday, even for 2 minutes, that represents millions of dollars of loss. And so yeah, definitely something that we obsess over, metrics.
Yeah, I think you were saying to me your Black Friday is like the Super Bowl for metrics at Netcore Unboxed, right? Everyone's looking at all of the key operational metrics on the screen to make sure that the platforms are running perfectly.
Yeah, and even leading up to it, there's a very intense period where we're doing holiday readiness. We're doing things like load testing, and only because some of our customers, maybe it could be 40% of the revenue might happen during that sale. It's a make or break period for a lot of our customers. So we have dashboards running live. People are working 24/7 during those peak periods, and yeah, it's all hands on deck.
But ultimately, your metrics are the customer's metrics. You've all got your eyes on the same prize, and so it's a consensual agreement on what success looks like, and it's shared by you and your customer.
Yeah, and defined by contract. Service level agreements is not a nice to have. It's definitely something that they dangle in front of us ahead of a holiday. Remember, there's penalties.
Okay, so inside Netcore, what's happening with product strategy? Javier, how would you describe your team and the way you operate and interact with other organizations, engineering, sales, leadership, and so on?
I have an unusual role. Obviously, I have a dual role at Netcore Unboxd, where I'm VP of product strategy and sales. It's not normal. So today I'm mostly speaking on the product side, but definitely my lens is shaped by like what are customers and prospects, like what are they asking for? What like how those conversations go. But basically the job is like a translation in both directions. So it's customer market signals that goes into product direction, but this goes the other way around, where product capability kind of translates into like deal narratives. And so I'd say most 60-70% of our features are co-built with customers or prospects. So they totally shape the spec, and they get some commercial benefits, like we might discount it for the first year or two, so there's some early benefits. And then we productized for the rest of the base. That really would only work if the person building the product was in the trenches with the customers and prospects. And so that's where I see my dual role really works well, and I don't think it would work any other way. So it's very cross-functional as well. So I'm managing, of course, of a team of sales folks that I'm also interacting and working with PMs, engineers, DevOps, super critical. We have our own data science teams. We have a dedicated relevancy teams, and so on.
So when you say, well, okay, first point is that it's really you're translating customer needs into the next generation of product, and that is sold with a first buyer advantage in it. So it's always a view to productizing the latest customer needs.
Yeah, and also customers and prospects, they love talking to people that can build what they have in their head. So we still have like the sales motions, but product and data science teams, they also get involved super early.
Okay. And then when you say it's a cross-functional role, it can be very difficult to deal with metrics. So how do you interact with leadership and push these ideas through a big organization like this?
Thing is, whatever we build, it has to serve that end purpose of, does it help the customer find that product? Does it increase the cart size? Does it keep them on the website longer? Again, because it's very much at the end of the day revenue based. So everything that we build, we need to get early beta testers, and that we have like different approaches of testing, whether it gets us to that North Star. Traditional A/B testing works great, but we also do things like multi-arm bandit. It's more of like it's actually the theories of a casino, a gambler having multiple lottery machines and trying to predict what machine is likely to cash out next. We're doing that, but with like AI models, where we could deploy 15 AI models, and it's like a horse race. And over the course of 15, 20 days, one of those horses is going to get to that finish line and get us higher conversion.
So this is with different operationally live instances of pages and so on, so that you can constantly refine and optimize the shopping experience.
Exactly. And the most typical thing that we do for like an approach like that would be like personalization. Like, how aggressive should it be? Should it really pick up on your things and change the experience too dramatically, or should it be subtle? Should it wait to really see if what colors you prefer? We don't have to guess. We can actually test that out and have like those 15 horses, right, with different aggressiveness settings, and see what is best for our customers' use case for their business.
And I guess you're seeing massive samples for this as well. So you don't have it's statistically significant, it's immediate, and you can control and tweak it and run it constantly.
Yeah, we don't have a end problem. We definitely have enough traffic with some of our customers. Yeah.
Yeah. So amidst all of that, what are the metrics you depend on most, and what are the ones you tend to ignore?
Yep. So, well, because I'm on both sides, right? I'm on sales and a product. I do notice the difference between like what customers ask for when they're shopping, and when they're before they sign a contract, and also what they mention during QBRs. Might not be the same. Obviously, revenue is one that's common, right? They care about, but things like revenue are not totally attributable to us, right? Because I could tell them, you want more revenue, that. How about you lower your prices, right? And you'll get more transactions that way. So that's something that we discuss, but some of those things we don't control. But I'd say the primary metric is going to depend on the industry. So, for example, like if I talked about like groceries, and if I went into their office and talked about conversion, they would probably kick me out of their office. They don't care about conversion because they know that someone is going to transact, someone's going to buy groceries. they're obsessed over things like average order value. How can we increase the cart size? And if I went to someone in furniture, they care about session depth. A lot of people are still not comfortable buying a $2,000 couch online without having sat on it. But that's how they find out that it's worth going into the store and buying it in the first place. So it's going to depend a little bit on that. But my personal metric that we care about, especially because we stand out in the area of personalization, it's really about understanding the customer in a hurry if they're a stranger. So my favorite framing is speed to insight. So how quickly can we understand a shopper's intent and personalize their experience? And the whole goal is that us as a company, our mission is, can we break away from the old paradigm where we built an e-commerce site and then we would hope that it works for 340 million Americans, right? That's a one size fits all. Or can we learn from a stranger in a hurry and quickly adapt the entire shopping experience specifically for them, knowing their location, the weather, what's airing on TV. And so that as they're interacting with products, search results and category pages, recommendations, the whole thing adapts to them. So my metric is speed to insight. And so that's a combination of different things. Our formula is basically like shopper signals weighed by confidence and then an intent prediction, and then weigh that over, time to personalize. What kind of drove us in that direction was actually Forrester came up with they found a number. So it was 8 seconds. That's the average attention span that people spend on an e-commerce site now. And that's it's nothing, right? That's like an attention span of a goldfish. And so we're trying to basically, before literally a customer spells it out, we need to tap into things like 120 signals in the first few moments. And some of these things include like whether clickstream data, do they hesitate when they scroll? We capture things like micro stutters, what facets they're clicking on. We detect that you dwelled on a specific set of results, and we might understand things like they have an affinity to a certain price or a brand. We can infer quite a few things even from those little micro invisible actions.
And this speed to insight score, you developed it in response to this industry observation from Forrester that there's an 8-second window. So how much insight can you glean from that window of opportunity?
Yep. Yeah. So it's, that is because we wanted to stand out in that area. We knew that was the problem to solve. For many years, we thought, relevancy was king. If someone wants a jacket, let's return jackets. Relevancy is actually a very personal thing. I can return jackets and they could all be completely uninspiring to that customer because they want a leather jacket and they're okay spending $400 on a jacket. And why are we serving the top sellers, which tend to be the cheaper jackets at the top? So it's a waste of screen real estate. We lost them. They won't scroll anymore. And so that forced us into, we need to solve this time crunch problem with these complete strangers, and being obsessed over data signals and being to infer, invisible affinities without them spelling it out. It's where we excel at.
And when you say, for an outsider, 120 signals in 8 seconds already sounds like a massive amount of information. What would better look like to you, or perfect look like to you?
Yeah. Well, better is and perfect is very much customer specific. And I'll give you an example, like some of our customers that sell outdoor gear, a signal that we see really helps them is weather data. If it's raining in San Francisco, then rain jackets will perform better. So we need to know that. We have customers that have TV programming, like shopping channels. And so if grandma is watching her show and she wants to buy what she just saw on TV, that means that we need to ingest TV programming as a signal and make sure that that's the first thing she sees when she goes to the site and as she starts typing the first letter of the product. So those are some examples of how can we wrap ourselves around the context of the shopper and what signals are important for that industry and business, to make sure that we know what they want as soon as they log in.
So we're talking a lot about metrics that deliver extremely relevant information in the moment. Can you share an experience when metrics revealed something unexpected that led you to change product direction, or when you were surprised by metrics?
Yeah, I'd say that the pandemic is probably the cleanest example of that. So shopper behavior obviously like dramatically changed, and it happened at an instant. So we saw that everyone was locked in, and everyone became a professional online shopper. So we noticed that the average query length that jumped from like 2.3 keywords up to 4.1, so almost doubled. Now it does sound small, but it's actually fundamentally it's a huge shift for us. So it means shoppers were being much more specific. We saw things like what they were multilingual, for example. We got an increase of things like phonetic spelling. And typically when a customer enters like a long tail query, like a lengthy query, it means that they have a higher intent. They really know what they want. It's likely they're ready to transact. But however, our models, and by the way, it's not just us at Netcore Unbxd, it was the entire industry. We were optimized for short tail queries, like black jacket, or so our models were really tuned for short queries and clean spelling. So we struggled with long tail once this pandemic happened, and conversion, of course, or some of the metrics started going down when it should have been going up because intent is higher.
Yeah.
And so that search performance really kind of forced us to rethink the problem. What made the moment matter wasn't just the data. We also heard frustrations from customers. So both things matched. And so that made a lot of sense. Okay. I think we need to rethink how people are shopping online and what, new models and tactics we need to employ.
So what did you have to do?
Well, yeah, that was an example of where or when product strategy actually changes direction, right? Because we can get very much stuck that we could do an incremental improvement on what we have. Maybe we just, but then you're looking at like, how do I make what we have 1% better? It's not actually addressing like we need a complete shift. And so for example, our in-session personalization became much more important at that time. And of course that was, we bet the family farm on that. And fortunately it was the right move that got us to where we are now with the analysts and obviously our growth. So.
Great. I can imagine when you say a multilingual, phonetic, long search experiences, it's sounding like a party over there on a shopping browser, right?
Yeah, I'll give you just one example, and we can move on to the next thing. But like we power the largest hypermarket in India, and people there's several languages to manage, but there's regionalisms, but also their behavior is like a little interesting. They tend to shop maybe once a month, but when they do, they completely deplete the store. But what we noticed with them is that people were spelling the way words sound. So phonetic spelling was something that we had to like actually come up with. We were first to market on something like that. Yeah.
Javier, you've already described an organization that is very metrics focused. It's a very effective, innovative culture that's focused on metrics and driven by metrics. Are there any metrics that you wish people understood inside your organization at a deeper level?
Yes. I would say the one that comes to mind is segmentation. We really and I don't mean segmentation in terms of this person likes color or is premium, likes premium brands. I've noticed that there's shoppers do have a different mission when they visit the site, and so some customers are transactional. I think the metric when we detect a segment like that should be, let's get out of their way and get them to a product page in a hurry. And so we're looking at things like click-through rates. That's going to be important. We're going to be looking at reducing dwell time. However, something that maybe I'm trying to evangelize in the company is that some customers or some shoppers are not ready to transact, especially if it's high priced items. They might be in educational mode or they're comparison shopping. We shouldn't obsess over conversion for these people. Our role should be, how do I get them to stay on the site longer? And maybe actually serve them fewer products. Maybe let's serve them more content. Let's show them more articles and blogs. Let's keep them on the site for 15 minutes. And they might bounce, but they're very likely to come back when they're ready and transact. So I'd say that that it's not just a metric, but it's also understanding the missions, and that we should actually be focusing on different metrics depending on the occasion.
Mm. So I guess that's the the dark side of everyone being so focused on conversions and revenue and the general grocery or the basket size, but the big ticket item metrics that run across the business to get to this nuance of industry and then to get to this nuance of segments, shopper experience segments. So you're looking at the right palette of KPIs for the segment you're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my big mission, of course, for the year and probably a few years to come is how can we detect, the mission of a shopper, and then we would have our library of like what metrics are important for them, and so we would have different criteria for success.
And you've got 120 signals in 8 seconds coming in as a baseline to
Yep.
find that mission, pinpoint that mission.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, a little Bayesian inference in there. Let's see what we can do.
It's my pleasure to share that Twin Signals, Metrics at Work, is sponsored by HelloTwin.ai, the semantic operating system for SMEs. HelloTwin, stop managing agents, start managing outcomes. Launching June 24, 2026. Javier, when you describe your business, it's so high tech and it's so sophisticated and it's so data rich. And I'm just wondering, what is your experience with AI in the thick of things, with all these metrics and with these extremely sophisticated shopper discovery and search platforms?
Yeah. So fun fact that Unbox was actually the first product discovery to introduce AI models. And that was back in 2011. So that's when like I got my first smartphone. That's many years in tech years. But nowadays we're seeing a big push in the market shifting towards, of course, LLMs, and for that we do have our opinions on them. First, of course, they're fantastic for like low volume workflows. So things like reporting, merchandising, maybe creating a campaign for promotion, conversational insights. You have it. But the other use case, of course, and our customers consistently ask is like, can it also power the search? And the answer is it's not yet. LLMs are still too slow. And in our business, we operate in the feels instant territory, and that is our benchmark. And even in our SLAs, is when someone searches, we need to return results well under 300 milliseconds. That is actually on the high end. Like we were aiming actually to be under 50, 60 milliseconds. So just LLMs don't operate in that territory. The other piece is they're quite expensive to run. We did our own from an energy standpoint and token utilization. If every time that someone would enter a search, we did the math and we found that it burns like 4.64 watt hours. That doesn't sound like a lot of energy, but that's the equivalent of like boiling a shot glass of water. So that's just a hello. If we open, the search to with LLMs for one of our customers like Mattress Firm on a Black Friday, we'd literally be boiling Olympic swimming pools of water like every 45 minutes. It'd be a massive power bill. And so we just don't think that it's cost effective enough for that high volume use case.
Wow. And sorry, that's hello. Is that thimble full of water for one person or for?
That's a single prompt, and the worst part is, if in a conversational interface, as you continue with the conversation, it's actually like exponentially higher because you have to look back. So by the time you're on like the fourth prompt, you're burning about 100 times more like tokens or energy than the first one.
And then how do you see AI sitting with your architecture?
Yeah, so that's been a big shift from enterprise customers, is that we're actually orienting ourselves as a agentic commerce platform. And so that framing is that right now, product discovery traditionally is still a silo. It's a cockpit that has levers and operators go and pull, and they can tune relevancy. They can embed their business strategies. They want to maybe optimize for margin, for a period, and then maybe for Black Friday, they want to optimize for something else. What we're seeing is that our customers that are asking us, like, I have other platforms that are going to be agentic. Like, we need to start seeing this as maybe like an operating system where we might be getting inputs from a finance system or a warehouse management system, an ERP, and these agents are going to be actually operating behind the scenes, actually creating the campaigns automatically and at scale. And that's all going to be influenced by metrics coming from different agentic systems in the organization. So you basically create like this organism that is tightly integrated and completely run by agents.
Nice. So instead of re-entering the goals and strategies for every e-commerce play or for your e-commerce assortment or whatever you're offering day to day, you're actually putting that directly into the inventory strategy, the finance strategy, the product strategy, and so on in one holistic motion. Yeah.
Or that's the end goal, at least.
And what about for you personally as a product strategist? Where are you seeing the future of your work with AI?
Yeah. So what I mentioned earlier, that we have a name for it. It's agentic or autonomous e-commerce. I think having that platform that is continuously optimizing is going to be it's a big area, half of our roadmap. How can we make sure that the platform is continuously learning and improving over time without manual intervention? And this is going to be particular because there's things that just humans can't do. If I want to, what is the best strategy for a Christmas sale in the US at a city level? Right? No one's ever done that before because you can't. There's no way for a human to do it, but agents can. And so they'll be able to come up with strategies at scale based on time of day, based on city, market, a bunch of different conditions.
And for you with your own, with your own visioning of what the product offering should be in your own dialogue with customers, where do you see your own day-to-day work with AI in the future?
I've actually tried to push for the adoption of development tools like Cloud Code and so on. So that's something that our company's adopting, and I see that is it's gonna make a moonshot idea a lot more attainable, less intimidating, and it's gonna be something that we can potentially even stand up. If someone has a big idea, to stand it up over a weekend. So I think the metrics on how we spend time are going to be different. I could either be in our internal call, or I could actually build something let's do it instead of just talk about it and brainstorm. So I think this rapid prototyping, iterative work is going to fundamentally change the way that we work internally.
And portends to far faster innovation cycles for what is already a very innovative firm and product strategy team.
Yeah, it's, I mean, even we do rather well, but competition is fierce. And so, these types of tools and technologies are going to keep us in our advantage.
Javier, boom. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's just fascinating to learn about your work and about Netcore, and it's and also about those millions and millions of shoppers around the world that are banging it out phonetically. Makes me feel good.
It was a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me, Liz.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Twin Signals, Metrics at Work. See you next episode.